Students, today we'll discuss the central nervous system part. So, as previously we have seen the introduction of nervous system. So, nervous system, it contains the CNS and the PNS. So, in the CNS, brain and the spinal cord. So, among the brain and the spinal cord, so we have to before going to the brain and the spinal cord. So first we will see the coverings over the central nervous system. That is covering, that is the layer, or we can say the membrane over the central nervous system. That is brain and the spinal cord, which will be covered by the some specialized layers, some specialized membranes. So that we will study in this class. So what is the topic? That is meninges. So meninges are nothing but these are the layers, the coverings, the membranes which covers the central nervous system, that is both brain as well as the spinal cord. So which covers the central nervous system, which covers the brain and spinal cord. So that layer, so that is known as the meninges. It is a meninges, actually it is a plural word. So if you take a singular word, that is a menings. So menings, the one singular, but here, so there is not a one layer, so there are three layers. So there are three layers which covers the central nervous system. So that's why, so this menings can be taken as a meninges, as a plural word. Okay, so meninges, why it is a meninges? Because there are different types of the layers. Then what are the different layers of the CNS, and how many? So here we can see the number 1, number 2 and number 3. So these are the three layers which covers the central nervous system. That is a durameter, arachnoid meter, a pia meter. So these are the three layers which covers the central nervous system. And when you see one by one, so dura, arachnoid, pia. So these three words, they are having its own individual word meaning, as you can see the dictionary meaning of that word. So we'll see one by one. So if you take the pia meter, so pia meter is the most innermost layer of the central nervous system. For example, so this is a diagram of the lateral view of the central nervous system. So where it is a brain part and the spinal cord part. So to the brain and the spinal cord, the layer, so this is a layer. So this is, we can see the inner layer of the central nervous system. Okay, so this is the layer which is very much closely attached to the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, and when you go to the meaning of the pia meter, so meaning of pia is the smooth. So its meaning is smooth. So matter, its meaning is a mother. So here the mother means, we'll take it as a mother. A main function, a main role of the mother is to protect her child. So here also these are the matters: durameter, arachnometer, pia meter. All are three matter. So all are three matter means all are the three. So they will protect the central nervous system, because the main aim of the meninges. So main aim of these coverings is to protect the central nervous system in proper location. So when you see the brain and the spinal cord, where it is located, so this central nervous system is located brain. If you take a brain, so which will be within the cranial cavity. If you take a spinal cord, it is within the vertebral canal, means surrounded by the bony parts. So it is a well preserved in particular area. And with this bony part, even there are the three coverings. So these coverings also which will support into the brain. So that's why they matter. So all are the mothers, all are the protective parts to the central nervous system. So pia meter, pia means the smooth, matter is the mother, means that this is the layer, a very much smooth and the delicate layer, and the thinner delicate layer, and which will be closely adherent and closely associated with the central nervous system part. And if you see the structure of the pia meter in the specimen, so this is pia meter is so much closely adherent, so you can't make a separation of the pia meter from the central nervous system, because so whatever this layer, so which is a, so when you see the structure of the brain, so how it is having so many sulci and there are so many depressions and elevations. It is not in a smooth surface. So it is having the different elevations and the depressions. So this layer, the pyometer layer, even it will cover the inner layer, that is the depressions, as well as a complete part of the central nervous system. This will be covered by the pyometer, and it is a very much smoother part, a very much thinner part. And one more thing is, so this pyometer is a highly vascularized part, highly vascularized part. So that's why you can say this pyometer is also known as a vascular layer. So why it is a vascular layer? Because this layer, this membrane is highly vascularized. So that's why you can see the vascular layer also. So pyometer, the most inner layer of the central nervous system, so which will cover the even the deeper elevations in the depressions and the elevations, and it covers a complete central nervous system. So pyometer. And next to that, there is outer to the pyometer is an arachnoid meter. Arachnoid meter. So what is the arachnoid meter? So we can say this is an arachnoid meter. So how it is? So this is an arachnoid meter. This is a outer to the pyometer. So if you go to the meaning of the arachnoid, so word meaning of the arachnoid, it shows the spider. So arachnoid meaning is a spider. So why it is a spider here? Because when you see the structure of the arachnoid meter, so this is an arachnoid meter, so this is a pyometer. So between this there are so many projections parts, that is known as the trabeculae part. So these are the trabecular parts. When you see the arachnoid meter, it looks like a spider-like structure. So the arachnoid meter, this is you can see the middle layer. So outer to the pyometer, inner to the durameter. So that is an arachnoid meter. So this is a second layer. And even when you see the arachnoid meter, it is also a thin and it is a transparent. So it is a very much thin and a transparent layer. And this transparent layer, it is also covering the central nervous system. But one thing is, so this layer, it won't enter into the sulci and gyri. It won't enter into the depressions and elevations. So what we are having the depressions in the brain part. So this layer, it won't enter into the depression. It will be above the layer. So above the surface. So we are getting the arachnoid meter. So it is a thin and a transparent part. And lastly, the third one, so we can take a durameter. So dura. So we go to the meaning again. So dura. So meaning of dura is durable, means which is durable, which is an hard and tough. So the layer which is a very much toughened part. So that is known as a durameter. So durameter, it is an outermost covering of the central nervous system. So this is an durameter, so which will cover the complete central nervous system. Likewise, so these are the three layers, these are the three coverings which covers the central nervous system. So brain and the spinal cord both. Okay. Now, so if you go to the one by one, so we'll get in detail of the durameter. So this durameter. So when you see the structure of the durameter, so actually, so this durameter is having the two layers. So how it will be? So just I will show you the diagram. For example, this is the skull bony part. We can take the vault also. You can think it is a vault, so that it is a bony part. So this is a bony part. Okay. Now, so within the bony part, within the vault, this is a cranial cavity where the brain is located. So it is having the three coverings. So outer the durameter. So durameter is having the two layers. So one is the outer durameter and the inner durameter. So what is the outer durameter? So that is known as endosteal layer. So outer durameter is an endosteal layer and inner durameter is known as meningeal layer. So likewise, there are two layers of the durameter, and here these two layers of the durameter always it will be an a close, means so they are the not an adherent, yes, they are very much close. Likewise, for example here, so this is a bony part and this is an endosteal layer, and this is your another inner layer, that is the meningeal layer. So that is a meningeal layer. So this is the endosteal layer and meningeal layer. So endosteal layer, so which will be closely adherent to the bony part. So within the bony part, so endosteal layer, the that, so the bone and the endosteum, so which cover this the layer which is adherent to the bony part. So that is a endosteal layer. And the second one is the meningeal layer. So meningeal layer, so which will towards the brain part, so which will towards the remaining layers, that is the arachnoid matter and the pia mater. So these are the two layers, and these two are the almost, they are very much closely associated, but in some of the areas, so these collaboration, these what you can say, uh, the the union of these two, in some places there may be a gap formation. So how it will be, so here we can see here, so this is an endosteal layer, that is clear, and this is a meningeal layer. So here in some of the areas, so this meningeal layer, so it becomes a separate from the endosteal layer. So this is a meningeal layer, so here it gets, so you can see here, so the meningeal layer in such condition, in such area, so which is detaches from the endosteal layer. So when there is a detachment from the endosteal layer, then there will be a space formation. So there will be a space formation. So such type of the spaces which will be occurred by the dura mater, by the endosteal layer and the meningeal layer. So actually these are the two, they are the closely, like a close friends, they are very much close, but in some areas they will get a separate, so they will get a detachment. So then, so where there is a detachment, so there will be a formation of space. So those spaces are present here, and those spaces are known as the sinuses. The sinuses. So what it contains, this sinuses, inner layer of the sinuses, which is having the endothelial layer, and this sinuses, what it contains, the sinuses which contains the venous blood of the central nervous system. And we know that central nervous system, it don't have the larger veins. So in the absence of the larger vein, it is having the sinuses. The sinuses which carries the venous blood of the central nervous system. So that's why these sinuses are also known as a dural venous sinuses. The dural, the dura mater, a venous blood, and sinuses. So the sinuses which will be formed by the dura mater and which presents the venous blood, so that's why it is known as a dural venous sinuses. There are a number of dural venous sinuses are present within the cranial cavity. So how it forms? So this is formed by these two layers. Okay, so this is the part regarding the dural matter. And next thing, yes, the dura mater, the two layer, endosteal and the meningeal layer. So among these two, the meningeal layer, okay, so this meningeal is a part of the dura mater. So this meningeal layer, it will forms a folds. Okay, so there is a formation of folds, and those folds are formed by the meningeal layer of the dura mater. So also we can say dural folds. So dural folds means the folds of the dura mater, but actually a fold of the meningeal layer of the dura mater. So how it occurs? So again, this is your skull bone, okay, the bony part, and this is your what is that, endosteal layer, and this is your meningeal layer. In some areas, though, which forms the sinuses at that time, so there may be a folds. You can see here there is a one fold. So likewise, so it may be another fold. Another fold. So these are the folds of the meningeal layer, or you can say the dura mater. So what it does, these folds we can separate the different parts of the brain parts, because when you take a brain part, the one large cerebral, the two cerebral hemisphere. So here, so these two cerebral hemisphere, left and the right cerebral hemisphere, can be divided. So you can make a divide, you can make a easily, you can differentiate these two cerebral hemisphere, because within these two cerebral hemisphere, the whatever the gap, so within that gap there is an fold of the meningeal layer, means so this fold which will separate into the left and the right cerebral hemisphere, one part, and one more fold, so which will separate the cerebrum part with the below, that is a cerebellum, posterior to the brainstem there is a one more a cerebellum part. So cerebrum and the cerebellum, so there is a one more fold, so which is between the cerebrum and the cerebellum. So between these two there is a one more fold, the one more the dural fold. So here what it is, so here, so this fold which is separating from the cerebrum to the cerebellum, the second layer, and there is one more fold, so which will separate the two cerebellar hemisphere. Again, when you go to the cerebellum, there are two hemispheres, cerebellar hemispheres. So between these two cerebral hemisphere, again there is a one more fold. So this fold which is separating the two cerebellar hemisphere, because when you see the structure of the brain, so you can easily identify exactly where is the cerebellum, where is the cerebrum, where is the left half, where is the right half, because within that part there is a fold, so there is a meningeal fold. So likewise there will be a formation of the dural folds, so that is by the meningeal layer of the dura mater. Now we will see the what are the folds which will present in the cranial cavity. So number one, that is, so number one, so we can see the four types. So these are the four types of the folds. So what are the folds? One is a falx cerebri, tentorium cerebelli, and falx cerebelli, and the diaphragma sella. What are these structures? These are nothing but these are the folds of the meningeal layer of the dura mater. So now we'll see one by one. First, a falx cerebri. So it is a meningeal fold, it is a dura mater fold. So where it is a falx cerebri, it will be present within the two cerebral hemisphere. So the two cerebral hemisphere, the left and right, so between these two cerebral hemisphere, we are getting the falx cerebri. And structurally, when you see the falx cerebri, how it looks like this. So this is an anterior part, and this is an posterior part. So this is the anterior part, this is posterior part, like a sickle shaped, so like in curved. So you can see, so what it contains, it contains the anterior part, we can see the anterior end, posterior end, and superior border, inferior border, and the two surfaces, left lateral or right lateral surface. So this is a falx cerebri. So this falx cerebri, this fold, so it will be present between the two cerebral hemisphere. And when you see this, the anterior end, okay, anterior end of the falx cerebri, so which is attached to the bony part. So exactly where it attaches, so it attaches to the one part, crista galli. So crista galli we have shown, okay, we have seen in the during the skull bone in the cranial cavity, anterior cranial fossa. So in the anterior cranial fossa, so ethmoid bone, So cribriform plate, the crista galli, the small, the spine is like a spine, the pointed elevated part. So there is a crista galli, the bony part of the ethmoid bone. So to this end, which is attached to the crista galli anteriorly, there is a pointed end. Whereas the posterior end, which is a broad, which is not in pointed, and this will attaches to the, so then second fold, so we'll get the tentorium cerebelli here. So it will be with the tentorium cerebelli, anterior end, posterior end, and superior border. So the superior border, so which is an convex, so which will be attached to the superior sagittal sulcus. So when you go to the vault, so in the median line, so there is a sulcus, there is a superior sagittal sulcus where the superior sagittal sinus is present. So this upper superior border, so which is convex, so which is attached to the superior sagittal sulcus of the vault. And whereas the inferior border, so which is an concave, and this is an free end, means there is no any attachment. There is no any attachment to the bony part, any other structure. It is a free end part. So this is an attached part, this is a free end part. And these two surfaces, the left lateral and the right lateral surface, so which will be associated with the medial surface of the left cerebral hemisphere, medial surface of the right cerebral hemisphere. The two cerebral hemisphere, this is a medial surface, this is a medial surface. So within this there is a surface of the falx cerebri. Okay, so two surfaces, two borders, and two ends. And one more thing, so these two borders which will form the two sinuses. So here, so where it is attached to the superior sagittal sulcus, so where there we are having one sinus, that is a superior sagittal sinus. And likewise, same in the inferior border also, there is a one more sinus, that is a inferior sagittal sinus. And there is one more small sinus which is coming here, that is a straight sinus. The straight sinus, so which will be associated with the posterior part, the straight sinus. So straight sinus, inferior sagittal sinus, superior sagittal sinus, these sinuses will be with the falx cerebri. Okay, this is a falx cerebri. Now we'll go to the tentorium cerebelli. This tentorium cerebelli, okay, the second layer, the second fold, the tentorium cerebelli, so it is a cerebelli, means a cerebellum. So this layer, this fold, where it is, which is present between the cerebrum part and the cerebellum part. So posterior part of the cerebrum, that is known as an occipital pole, yeah, occipital lobe of the cerebrum. So this is an occipital lobe of the cerebrum, and below this the two cerebellar hemisphere. So cerebellar hemisphere and cerebral hemisphere. So between the cerebrum and the cerebellum, the fold, there is a tentorium cerebelli. So tentorium means, so this fold, it is like a tent like. So how is the tent? So it is a tent. Okay, so when you see the tent, so it will be some part will be convex and inner part will be concave. So likewise, so it looks like a tent. And this which will separate the, so superior to this is a this is the cerebrum, and here so we'll get the cerebellum. So two cerebellar hemisphere, two cerebral hemisphere. Posterior part, posterior, that is occipital lobe of this cerebrum, and which separates with the cerebellum, because cerebellum which will be a posterior part. So where it is cerebellum, which is the posterior to the brain stem, and we know that, so during the skull study, there is a posterior cranial fossa. So the cerebellum which will be present within the posterior cranial fossa, that is the posterior part of the skull. So that's why, so this tentorium cerebelli, so which will separate the cerebrum with the cerebellum. And so if you see the surfaces, the superior surface, inferior surface. Superior surface is an convex and inferior surface is an concave. And this superior surface convex, which is with the cerebrum, and the inferior the concave surface, which will be with the cerebellum. Okay. Now, and this tentorium cerebelli. So how it looks exactly when you see the, it is looks like a U-shaped structure. It is like this. So this is one and this is two. Means this is the left cerebral A, this is the right. So this separates the left cerebrum with the left cerebellar hemisphere and the right cerebral hemisphere with the right cerebellar hemisphere. So likewise there are two parts we will get the tentorium cerebellar. And how it looks, it is an U-shaped. So this is a U-shaped. And you know the surfaces, superior surface and the inferior surface. And if you see the anterior part and the posterior part, so this is an anterior part, so this is a posterior part. So anterior part is also, this is a part, so anterior part is a free part. So free means there is no any attachment. Whereas the posterior part, so which is attaches, there is an attachment. So this is a free part, and when you go to the end, this is an end of the anterior part. So this is one U-shaped and this is one more U-shaped. So these are ends. So these ends which will be attached to the anterior clinoid process. Again, we know that during the anterior cranial fossa, so we have studied the anterior clinoid process. So to the anterior clinoid process, so this part is attached, and the remaining this part is a free end part. And this posterior part which is attached to the, again the posterior, again go to the posterior, what is that, posterior cranial fossa. So during the posterior cranial fossa we have seen, so what is that, internal occipital protuberance. So side to the internal occipital protuberance there is an sulcus, there is a transverse sulcus. Okay, so to the transverse sulcus, so there will be an attachment to the transverse sulcus. Again there will be formation of transverse sinus. So here is a transverse sinus, here is a transverse sinus. Okay, so this is a tentorium cerebelli which will separate the cerebrum with the cerebellum, that to the posterior part of the cerebrum with the cerebellum. This is second tentorium cerebelli, which is a U-shaped, so like a pointed, and this is free part which is an attached part. And here also there is a formation of transverse sinus. There is a tentorium cerebelli. Now there is a falx cerebelli. So as like the falx cerebri, the falx cerebri which will separate the two cerebral hemisphere, whereas falx cerebelli which will separate the two cerebellar hemisphere. The two cerebellar hemisphere, this is a left cerebellum, right cerebellar hemisphere. So between these, the fold, that is a falx cerebelli. The falx cerebelli. So anterior superiorly which is attached to the tentorium cerebelli, and inferiorly which is attached to the bony part. So the fold which divides the two cerebellar hemisphere, so that is a falx cerebelli. And if you go to the structure, it is also like that of the falx cerebri. How it is? So it is like this. So it is also same sickle shape, but it is a smaller size compared to the falx cerebri. The falx cerebri which is a larger part, so larger size, whereas the falx cerebelli is in a smaller size. Smaller size, it is also same, the looks like a as that of the falx cerebri, and which separates the two cerebellar hemisphere. Okay. And lastly the diaphragm sella. Diaphragm sella. So where it is also a fold of the durameter, it is also a fold of the meningeal layer, and this is a very much small, and it is a circular, so like a rounded fold. So this fold, so which will be present in the cranial fossa, that is middle cranial fossa. So in the middle cranial fossa, so we have seen the central part and the two lateral part. So in the central part, median part of the middle cranial fossa, what is that? There is a sella turcica. So how it forms? So it forms the anterior elevation and the posterior elevation. So between this there is a hypophyseal fossa. So anterior part, that is the anterior elevation, is known as a dorsum tuberculum sellae, and posterior is a dorsum sellae. So between the dorsum and the tuberculum sellae, that is a depression, the fossa, that is a hypophyseal fossa. So totally it forms the sella turcica. So this diaphragm sella, so which covers the sella turcica. The sella turcica, the median part of the middle cranial fossa. So that sella turcica is covered by the fold of the dura mater. So that is known as a diaphragm sella. So you know that the hypophyseal fossa, so which locates the fossa, which is a place for the hypophyseal cerebri, there is a pituitary gland. So for example, here there is a pituitary gland, and during the study of the pituitary gland, so you have studied, that is a pituitary gland, the stalk of the pituitary gland, so which will penetrate the diaphragm sella. So this is a stalk. So this stalk of the pituitary gland, so which will penetrate the diaphragm sella and which will be continuing to the hypothalamus part. So that is a diaphragm sella. So diaphragm sella is also an meningeal fold. There is a fold of the dura mater, and which is small and the circular, which presents or which covers the diaphragm sella. So below the diaphragm sella, a sella turcica part, and above this part there is a brain part, the base of the brain with the sella turcica. So the layer, the fold, that is a diaphragm sella. So these are the four folds of the dura mater, or we can say the four folds of the meningeal layer of the dura mater. Directly we can see the dura mater, or you want to specify, so you can see the meningeal layer of the dura mater. So these folds which separates the different areas and different parts of the brain in the within the cranial cavity. Okay, so these are the folds. There is a dura mater part. So dura, so durable, tough, and is an outer part. And second, that is inner to the dura mater, arachnoid mater, and again inner to the arachnoid there is an pia mater. So likewise, there are the three layers. So these three layers which covers the brain as well as the spinal cord. And next, one more thing. Okay, so next lecture, so we will deal with the spaces of the meninges, because there will be a formation of a space between these layers. We know that dura mater, arachnoid mater, and the pia mater. So the three layers, so dura mater, arachnoid mater, so pia mater. So these three layers, it will form a space. So there is a one space, there is a one space. So likewise, there will be a formation of spaces. So in the next lecture, so we will get the information of these spaces which is formed by these meninges. Okay.